Welcome to Northwest Arkansas Investing Podcast, your go-to source for real estate investing in Northwest Arkansas.
Whether you're a seasoned investor just starting out, we bring you expert insights, market trends, and practical strategies to help you build wealth through real estate.
From buying and selling to property management and long-term investment planning, we cover it all so you can make smart, informed decisions in this fast-growing market. Let's dive in. All right, welcome back to Northwest Arkansas Investing Podcast. I'm here with co-hosts Brian Wagers and Mr. Zach Stanley.
Yes,
He's back with us.
Good to be here.
We're pumped to have him back, and we take a look back to the last couple episodes we did. We talked a little bit about Brian and his deep dive on a couple deals that he's done, and then before that, we talked a little bit about the pros and cons of short-term rentals in Northwest Arkansas and long-term rentals, and kind of our opinions and thoughts on those. And so this episode, I think we're going to get into a deep dive on a deal or deals that I have done. And my I guess, portfolio and what I've done looks very different than what Brian has done. But I think that kind of provides a cool difference there. And so
No, one portfolio the same. That's the great thing about real estate investing.
Exactly. Yep. And Brian said it last episode, there's a lot of ways to make money in real estate, and that's the truth. So that's why we love it. But yeah, for me, I think just kind of diving in from the start, I was a big Grant Cardone guy, which I've said before, through kind of 2016, back when it wasn't as cool. And so, I was in the mindset of like, I'm just going to stack away cash. I mean, I'm not making anything at this point because I'm coming out of high school and into college and trying to scrap money together. And so, but I'm in my head, I'm like, I'm not buying anything under 32 units or 16 units or whatever. Never done a deal before. But I think, during that time, this was like 2020, 2021, my pops encouraged me to just buy a house. Rates were super low. Of course, I didn't really know that at the time because I didn't know anything. But he encouraged me to buy a house. And so for me, I kind of honed completely in on an area that I felt like was super high appreciation opportunity. And I only wanted to be in that area and I wouldn't buy anywhere else. And so for me, they had made the announcement that they're going to build a new Walmart campus right there on that, 50, 100 acres in Bentonville. And so wasn't really sure why everybody else wasn't trying to do what I was doing, but I guess they kind of were. But, so I kind of honed in this neighborhood just south of it. And so for me, I was looking to house hack it so that I had a lot of buddies that were still single at the time or not married. And so I was going to rent the rooms, buy a house, add some value to it in an area that I knew would appreciate really quickly. Rents would also appreciate really quickly, and it could be something that I could, hold on to and then move to the next one and kind of continue that process. And so first deal was, there was 15 offers on it at the time. I mean, this was 2021. And so didn't end up getting it on the first one. This was the third house I offered on in the neighborhood as well, but didn't end up getting it on the first time around.
Were you going through a broker at the time or just?
I was the broker, the buyer's broker. I had my license and was working at Walmart. And so just kind of doing it part-time. Probably not I wouldn't recommend anybody else do that, especially in a competitive market. But anyway, I didn't win the deal. But a month later, I was driving by the property, just kind of like, reminiscing, wish I would have got it. And the sign was still in the yard. And so I called him and I said, if it falls through, just call me first. And crazy enough, the next day he called me and said it fell through and they wanted 10 more grand. And so without hesitation did it. And so that was kind of the first deal for me, and getting into a single family house that was at the time $225, and worked with a local bank around here, Generations, to kind of net fund it, if you will. And so used the construction loan to finance it. And so they kind of, basically I came to the table they wrote me a check for the difference of, what my down payment and the rest of that line they were going to give me was, which was not much. But it was cool to kind of figure out a way with the local bank to get into a property without, a down payment or closing costs. That basically what they gave me there covered all of that. And then I had a little bit left behind. And so for me, the renovations ended up, most of them coming out of pocket for me.
Well, take us into like how you chose, of course, the Walmart campus. How far away are you from the Walmart campus?
It's just across the street.
Just across the street.
Yeah.
So Walmart just got done building a 4 was it? I think did they get the 4 or was it just over 3 in the billions?
Multi-billion, yes.
Multi-billion-dollar campus, and Brandon had the foresight to go, I don't need all of Centerton. I just need these neighborhoods. And when it pops up, it allows him to be micro-focused on finding the right thing, and you found it. And if it would have been that home, you would have got another one at a later date. So I think that speaks volumes to, at that time, I don't know if it was you or your dad just telling you to like buy something. I mean, it was a great launching pad for you.
Exactly.
Three offers before that. So this was a third home you offered on?
Third home I offered on.
When they told you no, had you started making other offers on other homes when you circled back, or you circled back?
Started doing, was kind of hustling, so just started sending more mailers to the neighborhood, trying to get deals before they came to the market because it was ultra competitive. And so I think definitely, I know you had a lot of that experience when you were first starting on buying a lot of multifamily through mail, right?
I did some mail, yeah. I got one lead from it, but I wasn't very didn't treat it like a business. It was kind of like a driving for dollars almost.
Yeah.
But it sounds like you did. You made an offer on market, but at the same time you're doing these mailers while you're kind of feeling the market, seeing what the marketplace, seeing those other 2 deals. You're seeing what people are willing to pay.
Yeah, exactly. So just trying to create my own luck, really, and but was able to finally get into that one. And again, that trying to get into a spot that I knew would appreciate quicker, that I knew rents would also appreciate quicker, because I knew that was important for my strategy of, I was single at the time, so I was going to live in it, then move to the next and move to the next and move to the next.
What was the purchase price?
$225. Yeah. And so obviously that looks a lot differently now, but I'll get into a little bit of this too on kind of what this parlayed into, but was renting the rooms to guys. So there's 2 other rooms.
How much per room?
It was probably $500 to $700 per room. And so, my mortgage at the time was $1,250 or something like that. And so I was either paying not hardly anything or paying nothing. And so that was huge, just to be able to continue to stack cash.
I think your wife would let you do that right now.
Man, I asked her already. Yeah, we found another one in the neighborhood, and I was like, what do you think about us just buying this one and moving out of our current one, which is in the same neighborhood? Yeah. And she was like, I refuse to move again. I was like, well, would you mind if I did and just rented the rooms that you lived in the house or whatever?
Someone young and first getting started, that is my first go-to advice. Even though I'm not in single family, my first piece of advice is then to house hack in some form of fashion. Doesn't have to be a duplex, triplex. It can be, but it can also be getting a house like you did and rent it out to your buddies.
Exactly.
A lot easier said than done when you're single and getting after.
Well, right. The way you did it was very unconventional for your first one, and I guess more complicated than normal.
Yeah,
for sure. You could have just found some random home and bought it and then whatever, but you went a more complicated route and it had a better return.
Exactly. Sure. Yep. And I think that's one of the big things that I want listeners to think about, though, is how important location is, because me picking that location and knowing and believing that it would appreciate how it did, and rents would also appreciate how it did, allowed me to do the next deals. And so essentially kept doing that for a bit, ended up getting married, and my wife moved in, and so everybody moved out. We didn't get the rent anymore from the other rooms. But anyway, we lived in that for another year as we hunted for the next one that was kind of in the vicinity of the Walmart campus. And I was such a big believer in what that campus was going to be, and how rents could be really strong in those areas. And so that's where we hunted.
Did you start your brokerage career kind of start to take off too at that same time, or what? You were kind of Walmart broker when? What was that time like?
Yeah, no, it was full Walmart really, and then kind of broker as I could on the side. And so during that time, it was a great side hustle. I'm not really sure why anybody used me, because it was probably a low level of service, but friends and family would use me, and it worked out. I did this deal, and then we bought our next house really when I was leaving Walmart in 2023, which was probably dumb, because we were buying a house. I couldn't even be on the note because I was leaving my job, and we were kind of dumping a lot of our reserves into this house when I had no income coming in. It was just my wife's income. But the next deal was in a neighborhood like 5 minutes from the neighborhood I first bought in, and it worked so well. We started, we got it rented out for $2,500 a month, and we were making $1,200 cash flow, and that was a game changer. And I was, of course, get the bug, just starting out. And so you get to this next one where we're kind of starting to run the same play, and where we're going to live in it, we're going to add value, and then eventually move out and kind of do the same thing. But so anyway, did all that kind of while I was leaving Walmart, and on this one we kind of went a different route and just put 5% down, and then did all the renovations out of pocket.
So at this point, now you got your first home, you rented it out, and then you moved, and you just did a 5% down conventional loan on this next home that was 5 minutes away.
Yep, 5 minutes away. So it felt like, in 2 to 3 years, we felt like maybe we could cash flow this, even though rates at that time climbed so quickly up to like I think we got 6.875 with a really good credit score. And so, but we felt like if we're buying in this area, we feel like rents could potentially get up to where maybe in 2 to 3 years we could move out and keep it in cash flow.
Yeah.
So added that value, started to live in it for about a year. And then my neighbor behind me. So I think this is another thing, as for investors that are looking to maybe go the single family route and go a little bit smaller and just buy in great areas and focus on cash flow. We continue to kind of farm and get to know our neighbors from our first neighborhood where we did the deal. And so I knew the neighbor directly behind me really well. And she had talked a long time about wanting to move to Bella Vista and make a change. And so just stay close with her as we were kind of doing this deal in this other neighborhood and living in that. And eventually kind of happened a lot quicker than we thought, but she was ready to sell. And so that's kind of when the wheels started turning of trying to figure out how to get back to this neighborhood, a neighborhood that we have already seen success in. But obviously, again, going back to where rates climbed so quickly, we had a payment with PMI that we couldn't cash flow with. And so now we're sitting here like, it doesn't make sense to hold on to this, and we don't want to put more money down. And so, we just kind of parlayed that and sold it. In my head, I thought we were going to break even, and we made some really good money. And so I think that's another importance, again, of buying in really great neighborhoods and areas that are appreciating really fast, is you have those opportunities to.
Well, you bought the second home you bought wasn't a good. My older sister lives in that neighborhood. It is. I mean, you bought strategically for that one because it is a good neighborhood.
Yeah.
So which probably allowed you to profit, but in your head you thought, okay, it's okay to cut net and just call it a break even. Let's get back to this point. It's not going to be win into infinity. You're going to take some losses, and your loss, you thought that the loss turned out to a win.
Right.
And then you're within a year, so you're paying short-term capital gains, whatever, on your however much. Now you're going back to your old neighborhood now.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yep.
So you're selling your second house, not your first home, is what you're saying.
Sold my second house. Yeah. Still kept the first one. It was cash flowing really well, and then sold the second one to kind of parlay back into this next house. And Brian said it last time. I think when you're first starting out, you want to just buy, especially in Northwest Arkansas. We know what it's going to be in 20, 30 years. You want to buy and hold everything you possibly can for dear life, but not always is that the best thing to do. And oftentimes there's just an equity play to be had that you can snowball into something better, which Brian talked about in the last episode. So that was the right play for us to sell it and equity snowball that into this other property. And we were able to get this next one that was right behind our first one for a really great price, which again, we were able to work with a local bank and do a construction loan again. That this time we came out of pocket zero for down payment and closing costs, and we had 30 to 40 grand of that extra construction loan to use on renovating the house. And so there's a lot of margin. We ended up going a little bit nicer, so I ended up doing some additional out of pocket, but kind of being able to buy. I think that's obviously that's an important thing, to be able to buy, make money on your buy, and that allowed us to be able to use the bank to finance some of those repairs and value add. So, but again, that working with a local bank and buying in that location, we now are able to. We could use our current primary residence as a rental, move out and rent it for the same thing the one behind us is renting for and make some really good cash flow. So
Well, I like
that before you have some kids.
yeah, exactly. Exactly.
I like your story because you have 2 rentals that are in really, really good locations, and you probably have some good positive equity in both. And those 2 could be equal to the sum of, let's just say, like someone else's 10. It's not about like, you can buy a bunch of subpar 10 and put out a lot more capital, or you could really focus in, find 2 deals that potentially puts off as much or more cash flow than those 10, and you only have calls from one, or I mean, really right now, 1 property. But if you rent into the other one out, you're only having calls from 2 tenants instead of 10.
Right.
And so your capital expenditures and your repairs and your vacancy is a lot lower on those 2 as compared to 10. And I love your patience in your story, and how you just said, no, we're doubling down on this. Now, in the future, maybe you do different stuff, but like you built this solid foundation to start your investing career on. You have 2 great properties that will cash flow, solid equity. It's only, I mean, your data chart from here is only in a straight going up.
Right.
So very commendable, and just shows there's a bunch of different ways to do it in real estate.
Yeah, and I think it's important just to get started. Again, like Brian got started with a single family house, recognized that he wanted to scale a little bit more, and it wasn't the single family route wasn't for him. And I'm also seeing the same thing, and trying to focus on, continue to increase income and stack away to be able to go do bigger deals that make sense for the lifestyle that I want to, continue to grow into. And so, but I think it's important to get started. And I think, for those listening, if it's even a single family that you could add value to and parlay into the next thing to grow and the next thing to grow, I think you should do so, or at least take a look at it. So,
what are you looking for your next thing? Are you looking for something specifically right now?
Yeah. So, I mean, for me, I'm looking for anything kind of 2 to 24 units is what I've said a lot of, if I'm going the multifamily route. And then other than that, I'm looking for multi-tenant retail, like smaller strip retail centers that I could potentially, just add value and parlay into something else. And so, I mean, for me, the game for me has always been get to know owners around Northwest Arkansas that have those kind of properties for a long time, and just create relationships and hopefully be their first call when that time comes. And so there's owners that I've been talking to for 3, 4, 5 years. They may never sell to me, but they know me by name. We've talked on the phone a lot. We've texted a lot. And at least I'll get a shot, hopefully, when they decide to go and sell in the coming years. And so in the meantime, for me, it's stacking away cash and getting ready for moments like that. But I'm learning more and more that, there's just if you're playing that game, there has to be more people that you're talking to, and you can't ever rely on 1 or 2 or 5, even 5 owners that have property that you want. So
got to put a lot of hooks in the water.
Have to.
A lot of irons in the fire.
Yeah.
If you will.
Yep.
Yeah.
You have to. But yeah, just my story is very different so far, but I have the goal of kind of parlaying these, and I would sell these or this, my first one, or both of them, to parlay it into a big deal if a 24 unit that made sense if I had to. So that's kind of how my strategy started to shift. But even these first 2 deals have allowed me to be able to get a line of credit that, can help me buy flips, that could help me increase my income.
Yep.
And then, again, with the ultimate goal of buying some bigger deals that I can scale with. So, yeah.
Great. Love it.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of lessons there. One, you're not going to get the first deal you're offering on. Maybe you will, but don't, you got to have some thick skin to keep offering. And even, there's so many stories of the guy, at first they say no and then they come back around, but at the same time, you didn't let that discourage you. You're still moving along with the plan. You kind of took a leap there when you were leaving Walmart and then going full-time brokerage. You weren't even bankable, so, but I think if people were giving you deals and you were still working at Walmart, I mean, that's a good sign of success. Like, I'm not giving someone to list my house if they're working full time at Walmart. But you obviously had friends and family that were like, they're like, hey, Brandon's got a license, let him do it. So you were able to parlay that. And, obviously the brokerage thing can be leveraged with the cash flow coming from there, obviously the connections. And one question before we wrap up, did you get your license with the intention just because you wanted to do your own deals, or because you wanted to be a full-time broker, or what you weren't sure at the time?
Well, I got it initially because my parents encouraged me to do it, and they were in brokerage. And but just kind of as I've continued to learn, if I will always either pay a broker or let a broker represent me if they're bringing a deal to the table. And I think that's important. And the guys that I see that have the most success, they're always taking care of the brokers because I can't talk to every single owner in Northwest Arkansas for the properties that I'm looking for. It's impossible. And so if there's an opportunity that comes on the market and someone sends it to me even, and they know the owner, or maybe it's their listing or whatever, it's a pocket listing, it would be a shame if I would try to be collecting a commission on that rather than letting the person that brought that to me, be able to kind of rep it on both sides. So that's obviously shifted for me just as I've learned and seen others that have had success. But yeah, I think that's important to take care of those that are closest to owners in Northwest Arkansas, which can't always be just you. So
yeah, 100%.
But yeah, I think just as we wrap up, and we're going to get next episode, we're going to get a little bit into Zach and some deal deep dive that he's done. But go back and listen to the one before, Brian kind of getting into a couple of his deals, a little bit smaller deal, and then a development deal he's got working. So that's a really good episode. But we'll continue to bring this, and thanks for listening.
Thanks, guys.
Again, thank you guys for tuning in. I'm going to go ahead and list some sponsors off here. We're going to start with Flat Branch Mortgage, specifically Colton Kennedy. Colton and I personally do business together, and he's a wonderful lender here in the Northwest Arkansas corridor. Want to invest in real estate or purchase a home, but feel like you need a secret decoder ring to understand the process? You're not alone. First-time investors, house hackers, and future homeowners, Colton Kennedy has you covered. Colton Kennedy with Flat Branch Home Loans helps people like you break into the real estate market without the guesswork. Think of him as your mortgage strategist, helping you turn "I wish I could" into "I just did." You bring the vision, he'll bring the lending game plan. Let's make your first investment a smart one. Colton Kennedy with Flat Branch Home Loans. Contact him today by calling 417-437-0086 or emailing C as in cat, K as in Kimberly, ENNEDY at Flat Branch Home Loans. That's FBHL.com. That's 417-437-0086 or emailing CKENNEDY at FBHL.com. Thank you so much, Colton. So our next sponsorship is 1440 Photography. 1440 Photography is a local company here. I love getting local companies to sponsor this podcast. They're local, they do great service, and personally I can speak that they do a great job on mine and my clients' stuff. If you're an investor or agent in Northwest Arkansas, you need 1440 real estate media in your corner. They're not just photographers, they're real estate market experts, and it's the only thing they do. MLS photos, drone, video, Matterport, whatever your listing needs, they've got it. Everything is a la carte and it's totally customizable. And here's the best part. Just book online whenever works for you. They confirm and show up ready to go. Fast, easy, done. Where quality meets speed. Book now at 1440photography.com. Our next sponsor is Advantage Title and Escrow. They're a local company. They do great work. Specifically, Kayla Phillips. I can speak personally on this sponsor because I use Kayla for all of my transactions. It's been 2, 3, 4 years now. And Kayla and I have done a ton of deals. We probably do between 65 to 80 deals a year together. And they do a great job. The SOPs, so systems and processing that they have over Advantage Title is just incredible. Clients love it. They do a great job from start to end communicating. When I give a deal to Advantage Title and Escrow, I know that it's going to be taken care of. There's no second guessing. I almost am able to treat them like a second transaction coordinator to my transaction coordinator that I already have. I know that they're going to handle the systems and processes correctly, as an agent, as a homeowner, as a buyer or seller. They do an incredible job of handling your transaction and communicating throughout the process. They do a great job with communication, especially Kayla Phillips over there. I would highly encourage you, if you're looking to close on a home, buy a home, if you're an agent listening, to use Advantage Title and Escrow, specifically Kayla Phillips. So you're going to reach Kayla best at 501-358-1601, or you can email her, Kayla, Cayla, at goadvantagetitle.com. Advantage is ADVANTAGE title.com. Our next sponsor is TDS IT. That's T as in Tim, D as in document, S as in solution, I as in information, T as in technology. This one hits personal. It's close to home. My dad, Tim Stanley, runs TDS IT, and he decided to sponsor our podcast. So I can speak from personal experience. I've been able to work for my dad in the past as well. And they're a great solution for business technology. If you're a local business owner or even out of state, if you're running a business, need printers, need information IT services, if you need phones, scanners, printers, all the way up to, you're printing books to, hey, we just need something in the office. TDS IT is that spot. They provide the best in-brand business technology with proven, best in local service, and they can prove it. Our next sponsor is from Whinstone Private Lending. This episode is brought to you by Whinstone Private Lending, one of the top private and hard money lenders now serving Northwest Arkansas. Whether you need short-term capital for a flip, a bridge loan, or creative financing, they've got you covered with very flexible products to fit nearly any deal, including 100% financing. What sets them apart is their deep expertise, fast response times, and ability to think outside of the box to help investors like us close quickly and efficiently. If you're looking for a real lending partner, check out Whinstone Private Lending. Link is in the show notes.
Special thanks to one of our sponsors who I've worked with personally on multifamily commercial loans as well as business acquisitions. People's Bank works with entrepreneurs, investors, deal makers, and risk takers. They're the ones who see opportunities where others see obstacles. Whether it's a vacant lot with a plan for a thriving business or making an old space new, they work with creators who think big and are not satisfied with the status quo. People's Bank helps you build Arkansas deal by deal and brick by brick. They don't just see numbers on a spreadsheet. They see your passion and vision. People's Bank. It's where people come first. Member FDIC. If you're needing loan assistance, reach out to Dakota at 870-883-1706 or DHEDDEN at peoplesbankar.com.
If you enjoyed the show, make sure to give us a follow on your favorite podcast platform so you never miss an update.
Don't forget to connect with us on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn for more real estate insights and behind-the-scenes content.
Have a question you want us to cover? Send it our way. And if you're interested in sponsoring the show, visit nwainvesting.com to get in touch. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.